Bonker Studio production.
Good to Great by Jim Collins. Have you ever found yourself wondering why some companies or individuals seem to consistently break through to greatness, while others stay stuck in mediocrity? Maybe you've seen businesses that started small and grew into household names. Think Apple. Or people who transformed their lives in ways that seemed almost impossible. Here's the truth that might surprise you. Good is the enemy of great. Think about it. Most people, teams, and companies settle for good enough. Why? Because good feels safe. It's comfortable. It doesn't push us to challenge the status quo or reach for something extraordinary. But settling for good comes at a cost. It prevents us from achieving the greatness we're capable of. Today, we're diving into Jim Collins's transformative book, Good to Great. This isn't just a business book. It's a playbook for achieving greatness in every area of your life, whether you're leading a team, running a business, or working on personal growth. I'll walk you through the 9 key principles that Collins uncovered after 5 years of research into what makes companies leap from being good to truly great. I'm not just sharing theories. I'm going to show you step by step how I've been using these principles in my own life. And let me tell you, the results have been eye-opening. From how I approach decisions to the people I surround myself with, Good to Great has completely changed the way I think about success. And the best part? You can listen to this while multitasking. I've broken it down into easy chapters with timestamps in the description. There are also rapid-fire recaps along the way, so if your mind drifts, don't worry, I've got your back. If you're wondering whether the physical copy is worth it, think of this as your free preview. There's a link in the description if you want to grab it on Amazon. Before we dive in, do me a quick favor. Hit that subscribe button and let us know in the comments. I love hearing from you and knowing that these ideas are resonating with people all around the world. Are you ready to stop settling for good enough and start building something truly great? Let's get started. Chapter 1. Good is the enemy of great. Have you ever looked at something in your life, a job, a relationship, a project, and thought, it's fine, it's good enough? Let's be honest, we've all been there. Good is comfortable, it's familiar, and it doesn't push us out of our comfort zones. But here's the kicker. Good is the enemy of great. And the moment we settle for good, we've pretty much shut the door on the possibility of becoming great. Think about it this way. Have you ever had a meal that was just okay? It wasn't bad, but it wasn't amazing either. Did you rave about it to your friends? Probably not. That's the difference between good and great. Great meals, great experiences, great lives, they stick with you. They're memorable. Now let me hit you with a stat. Jim Collins's research found that out of thousands of companies, only 11 made the leap from good to great and sustained that greatness for 15 years. Just 11. Why? Because most companies and people stop at good. They think, why rock the boat? Things are fine as they are. But here's the thing. Greatness doesn't come from staying comfortable. It comes from pushing beyond good enough. Let me tell you a quick story. Imagine a company like Kodak. Back in the day, they were good, solid sales, decent reputation. But they got complacent. They stopped innovating, stopped challenging themselves, and eventually, they faded away. Now compare that to Apple. Apple could have been just another good tech company, but instead, they focused on being great. They revolutionized industries with the iPhone, iPad, and beyond. They didn't settle for good, and look where they are today. So what does this mean for you? Here's the tough question. Where in your life are you settling for good when you could aim for great? Maybe it's your job, your health, or even a side project. The key is recognizing that good isn't the finish line. It's the starting point. Now, I'm not saying you need to overhaul your entire life overnight. Start small. Pick one area where you've been coasting and ask yourself, What's one thing I can do today to push this from good to great? And hey, let us know in the comments. What's one good thing in your life that you're ready to make great? Let's help each other aim higher. Chapter 2, Level 5, Leadership. When you think of a great leader, who comes to mind? Maybe a larger-than-life CEO like Steve Jobs, or a charismatic figure giving epic speeches? But here's the surprising truth from Jim Collins. The best leaders, the ones who transform companies from good to great, don't fit that stereotype. Instead, they're what Collins calls Level 5 leaders, and their magic lies in their quiet humility, combined with relentless determination. Now, let's break it down. Level 5. Leaders are a rare blend of two qualities that don't usually go hand in hand. First, they lead with humility. They're not driven by ego or a need to be in the spotlight. Second, they have an intense professional will, a relentless focus on doing what's best for their company or mission, even if it means making difficult or unpopular decisions. It's this unique combination that sets them apart and drives lasting greatness. Let me tell you a story about Darwin Smith, the CEO of Kimberly-Clark. When he took over, the company was struggling. Instead of playing it safe, he made a bold move. He sold off their paper mills, considered the core of their business, and doubled down on consumer products like Kleenex. People thought he was crazy. But here's what happened. Kimberly-Clark became a leader in its industry, outperforming its competitors for decades. And get this, Darwin didn't take credit. He often said, "I never stopped trying to become qualified for the job." That's humility. He wasn't flashy or loud, but his determination and selflessness made Kimberly-Clark great. Contrast that with leaders who prioritize their egos. Remember the Enron scandal? That's what happens when leaders care more about their image and personal gain than their organization's success. Here's the exciting part. You don't have to be born a Level 5 leader. These traits can be developed over time. It starts with a little self-reflection. Ask yourself, am I making decisions to truly benefit the team, or just to boost my own image? And when things go right, do I give credit to others? And when they don't, do I take responsibility? These simple questions can spark a powerful shift in how you lead. Small shifts in mindset can make a big difference. Chapter 3. First who, then what? Imagine this. You're planning a road trip. What's the first thing you do? Choose the destination, right? Well, Jim Collins flips that idea on its head. He says, first who, then what? That means before you decide where you're going, you need to figure out who's coming with you. Because the truth is, if you've got the wrong people in the car, it doesn't matter where you're headed, you won't get there. Let me tell you a story about Wells Fargo. In the 1980s, the banking industry was in turmoil, but Wells Fargo came out stronger than ever. Why? They focused on getting the right people on their team. They didn't start with a big flashy strategy. Instead, they made sure they had a team of disciplined, talented people who could handle anything. Once the team was solid, they figured out the direction together. Here's where most companies, and even individuals, get it wrong. They think success is all about having the perfect plan, but plans can change, and challenges will come. When you've got the right people, though, you can adapt, innovate, and keep moving forward. Let's bring this closer to home. Think about your own life or projects. Have you ever worked with someone who just didn't fit? Maybe they lacked motivation or didn't share your values. No matter how good the plan was, it probably felt like pulling teeth to make progress, right? Now, flip the script. Think of a time when you worked with someone who was truly aligned with your goals and energy. Didn't everything just click? That's the power of first who, then what. Here's a practical starting point. Take a moment to assess the people you spend the most time with, whether in your career, friendships, or personal projects. Ask yourself, do they share your core values? Do they challenge and inspire you to be better? And are they open to growth and change, just like you're aiming to be? Surrounding yourself with the right people makes all the difference. If not, it might be time for some tough conversations, or even a few changes. This recap covers the first 3 core lessons from Good to Great by Jim Collins. We've explored why good is the enemy of great, the power of level 5 leadership, and the importance of first who, then what. In Good to Great, Jim Collins starts with a bold truth. Good is the enemy of great. Many people and companies settle for good enough, which kills the drive for greatness. Truly exceptional outcomes require us to step out of comfort zones, reject complacency, and pursue excellence. From over 1,400 companies studied, only 11 made the leap from good to great and sustained it, because they didn't settle. A key factor behind that transformation? Level 5 leadership. These leaders are not loud or ego-driven. They're humble, yet fiercely determined. Darwin Smith of Kimberly-Clark is a prime example. He made bold, unconventional decisions and led his company to outperform its competitors for decades, all while staying modest and focused on the mission. Unlike leaders who chase recognition or power, Level 5 leaders build legacies. Next, Collins emphasizes, first who, then what. Before setting goals or strategies, great leaders prioritize building the right team, people who share values, embrace growth, and bring out the best in each other are the real fuel for success. With the right people on board, any destination becomes reachable. Whether in business or personal life, aligning with the right individuals is a game changer on the journey from good to great. Chapter 4. Confront the brutal facts. Let's be honest, nobody likes bad news. Whether it's a tough financial situation, a failing project, or even realizing your jeans don't fit anymore, yikes. It's human nature to avoid the uncomfortable truth. But here's the thing. Greatness starts when you confront the brutal facts. Jim Collins found that companies that made the leap from good to great had one key trait. They didn't sugarcoat reality. Now you might be thinking, sure, I can face tough truths. But let me ask, when was the last time you honestly assessed a situation without making excuses? We've all been there, blaming the economy, the competition, or even Mercury retrograde. But avoiding the facts only makes things worse. Let me share an inspiring example. During World War II, Admiral James Stockdale was held as a prisoner of war for 8 grueling years. His mindset? He faced the brutal facts of his reality, knowing there was no quick rescue, while maintaining unwavering faith that he would eventually prevail. This balance became known as the Stockdale Paradox, and it's a powerful tool for both individuals and businesses. Now, what does this look like in a business setting? Take Kroger, the supermarket chain. Back in the 1970s, they realized traditional grocery stores were dying. Instead of clinging to outdated models, they confronted the brutal facts. The industry was shifting toward larger, more modern supermarkets. Kroger closed hundreds of underperforming stores and reinvented itself. Today, it's one of the largest grocery chains in the U.S. But here's the kicker. Confronting brutal facts isn't about being pessimistic. It's about using those facts to make better decisions. Imagine you're driving a car. If the fuel gauge shows E, ignoring it doesn't magically fill the tank. You've got to acknowledge the problem before you can solve it. So, how do you actually put this into practice? Start by creating an open environment where honest conversations are welcomed and people feel safe speaking up without fear of blame. Next, don't shy away from asking the hard questions. What's not working, and what's really holding you or your team back? Finally, once you've uncovered the truth, don't just sit on it. Use that insight to take meaningful action and drive real change. Chapter 5. The Hedgehog Concept. What do a hedgehog and greatness have in common? At first glance, not much, right? Hedgehogs are small, prickly creatures that don't exactly scream success. But here's the genius of the hedgehog. When faced with danger, it does one thing and does it exceptionally well. It rolls into a perfect little ball, protecting itself with its spines. Simple, focused, and effective. Jim Collins takes this powerful idea and applies it to both companies and individuals through what he calls the hedgehog concept. At its core, it's about discovering your one big thing, the area where you can truly excel and make the biggest impact. Greatness, he says, lies at the intersection of three key circles: what you can be the best in the world at, what drives your economic engine, or for individuals, what can sustainably support you, and what you're deeply passionate about. When you find the sweet spot where all three overlap, that's where lasting success is built. Let's break it down with an example. Think of Walgreens. Back in the day, they were a solid but unspectacular pharmacy chain. Then, they embraced their hedgehog concept to be the most convenient drugstore in America. They focused relentlessly on this goal, choosing prime store locations, improving customer experience, and streamlining operations. The result? Walgreens outperformed most companies in its industry by a mile. You're trying to discover your own hedgehog concept. Here's a simple exercise to guide you. Start by identifying your passion. What truly lights you up? What's that one thing you'd love doing, even if you never got paid for it? Next, consider your strengths. What are you naturally good at? Or what could you become exceptional at with consistent effort and practice? Finally, bring in the practical side. How can you turn this into something that financially sustains you? When these three elements, passion, skill, and practicality align, you've found your personal hedgehog concept. When you align these three areas, magic happens. You stop chasing every shiny opportunity and start focusing on what truly matters. But let me tell you, finding your hedgehog concept isn't instant. It's not like a light bulb suddenly flicks on. It takes reflection, trial and error, and sometimes saying no to good opportunities so you can focus on great ones. So, what's your hedgehog concept? If you're not sure yet, that's okay. Start by reflecting on those three circles. Chapter 6: A Culture of Discipline. Let's talk about discipline. And no, I don't mean waking up at 5 a.m. every day or swearing off dessert forever. I'm talking about a culture of discipline, the kind that makes organizations and individuals unstoppable. Jim Collins found that great companies don't rely on rigid rules or micromanaging. Instead, they build a culture where people are self-motivated, focused, and consistently doing the right things. Here's the kicker. Discipline doesn't mean bureaucracy. It's not about creating a million policies or breathing down people's necks. In fact, great companies avoid all that because they hire the right people, people who don't need to be constantly managed. Take Southwest Airlines, for example. Their business model is simple: low cost, no frills, and fun. But behind the scenes, there's a relentless discipline that drives their success. They stick to their model, say no to opportunities that don't align, like assigning seats, and empower employees to make decisions within that framework. The result? Consistency, profitability, and one of the best reputations in the industry. Let's break this idea down into two key parts. First, disciplined people. Success begins with who you surround yourself with. Think of it like assembling a team for a group project. Would you rather work with someone who needs constant reminders or someone who's self-motivated and dependable? The answer's obvious. Second, there's disciplined thought and action. This is all about focus. Once you've identified your hedgehog concept, discipline means saying no to anything that doesn't align with it. It's the ability to stay committed to your core goals and values, even when tempting distractions come your way. Here's a relatable example. Think about a diet. Ever tried one where you set strict rules like no carbs or sugar? How long did that last? Now, think of someone who focuses on healthy habits, like eating balanced meals and working out regularly. That's the difference between rules and discipline. Rules are temporary. Discipline is a lifestyle. Now, here's my challenge for you. What's one area in your life where you could use a little more discipline? Share it in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Remember, discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up every day and staying true to what matters most. This recap covers the lessons 4 to 6 from Good to Great by Jim Collins. In Chapter 4, Collins introduces the idea that greatness starts by facing the brutal facts, whether in business or personal life. Instead of making excuses or avoiding hard realities, great companies embrace the truth and use it to fuel smarter decisions. This mindset is embodied in the Stockdale paradox, maintaining unwavering faith while fully accepting current hardships. Companies like Kroger thrived by doing just that, acknowledging industry shifts and making bold changes rather than clinging to outdated models. In Chapter 5, Collins introduces the hedgehog concept, a framework that helps companies and individuals discover their unique path to greatness. It lies at the intersection of 3 elements: what you're deeply passionate about, what you can be the best in the world at, and what drives your economic engine. Walgreens is a great example. They succeeded by focusing on convenience and aligning everything around that one big goal. Chapter 6 dives into building a culture of discipline, where self-motivated people stay focused on what matters. It's not about rigid rules, but about hiring the right people and consistently aligning actions with core goals. Discipline, paired with clarity and focus, is what turns good intentions into lasting greatness. Chapter 7. Technology Accelerators. Let's talk about technology. In today's world, it feels like every business buzzword includes something about being tech-driven or AI-powered, right? But here's the twist from Jim Collins's research in Good to Great. Technology doesn't make a company great. It accelerates greatness that's already there. Think of it like a car. Technology is the engine, but if the driver doesn't know where they're going, they'll just speed off in the wrong direction. Great companies use technology wisely. They don't chase shiny new tools just for the sake of it. Take Amazon, for example. We all know they're tech savvy, but they didn't start out by throwing money at every new gadget or software. They focused on their core, customer obsession, and used technology strategically to enhance that. From their one-click ordering system to their AI-powered recommendation engine, every tech decision served their ultimate goal: making shopping fast, easy, and personalized. On the flip side, there's Blockbuster. Remember them? They had opportunities to innovate, even to partner with Netflix. But they dismissed it, thinking their traditional model was enough. They didn't see technology as a way to evolve. And, well, we all know how that turned out. So, how can you apply this principle to your own life or business? The golden rule is simple. Don't start with technology. Start with your purpose. Begin by asking yourself what you're truly trying to achieve. Once you have a clear goal in mind, then explore how technology can support that goal, whether by helping you work more efficiently, reach a wider audience, or solve problems in smarter ways. Let your purpose lead, and let technology follow. For example, if you're running a small business, you don't need every flashy app on the market. Instead, focus on tools that solve your real problems, like using accounting software to save time on bookkeeping or social media schedulers to stay consistent with your marketing. And here's something personal. We've all been guilty of downloading some fancy app, thinking it'll change our lives, only to abandon it a week later. Sound familiar? The key is to choose tools that genuinely align with your goals and make them part of your routine. Chapter 8. The Flywheel and the Doom Loop. Picture this. You're trying to push a massive, heavy flywheel, a giant metal disc. At first, it barely budges. You lean into it, sweat dripping, and after what feels like forever, it starts to move just a tiny bit. You keep pushing, little by little, until eventually, momentum kicks in. Suddenly, the flywheel spins faster and faster, almost effortlessly. That's the flywheel effect, and it's a perfect metaphor for how greatness is built. Jim Collins found that great companies don't rely on one big, dramatic moment to succeed. Instead, they focus on small, consistent actions that build momentum over time. Each step might not seem significant on its own, but when added together, they create unstoppable energy. Take Amazon as an example. In its early days, Amazon wasn't the giant it is today. Jeff Bezos didn't wake up one morning and launch Amazon Prime, AWS, and same-day delivery all at once. Instead, Amazon took small, deliberate steps, like improving customer service, expanding product selection, and streamlining logistics. Each improvement added to the flywheel's momentum, propelling Amazon to where it is now. Now, let's talk about the opposite, the doom loop. This happens when companies, or people, chase quick fixes instead of building sustainable momentum. They make one big, flashy move, expecting instant results. When it doesn't work, they panic, change direction, and try something else entirely. Sound familiar? It's like going to the gym once, not seeing results, and deciding to switch to yoga, then running, then maybe CrossFit. Nothing sticks, and the cycle continues. One famous example of the doom loop is Sears. They kept pivoting strategies, selling off assets, changing leadership, and chasing trends, without a clear, consistent direction. Instead of gaining momentum, they spiraled into decline. So, how do you avoid falling into the doom loop and start building your flywheel? It begins with small, intentional actions. Start by identifying one simple step you can take today that moves you closer to your goal. Then, commit to staying consistent, because real momentum builds gradually, not all at once, and most importantly, be patient. Greatness rarely comes with big flashy moments. It's the result of steady, focused progress over time. Keep pushing, even when the results aren't immediate. That's how the flywheel starts to turn. Chapter 9. From good to great to built to last. So, you've made the leap from good to great. Congratulations. But here's the big question. How do you make greatness last? It's one thing to achieve success, but it's another thing entirely to sustain it for years, even decades. That's where the ideas from Jim Collins's earlier book, Built to Last, come in. Think of good to great as the how, the roadmap for getting to greatness, and built to last as the what, the guide for keeping it going. It's like planting a tree. Good to great helps you nurture a sapling into a sturdy tree, while built to last ensures that tree grows into a massive oak that thrives for generations. One of the key principles in Built to Last is preserve the core, stimulate progress. This means great companies stay true to their core values while constantly innovating. They don't let tradition or complacency hold them back. Take 3M, for example. Their core value is innovation. They created Post-it notes decades ago, but they didn't stop there. They kept pushing boundaries, introducing new products like command strips and cutting-edge industrial adhesives. Their ability to preserve their innovative spirit while embracing change has kept them great for over 100 years. But here's where some companies fall off. They either cling too tightly to the past, resisting change, or they lose sight of their core values in the rush to try something new. Either way, they lose their footing. So, how do you apply this idea to your life or work? Start by identifying your core. What's your guiding principle? The thing you'll never compromise on? Maybe it's integrity, creativity, or a commitment to helping others. Once you've nailed that down, look for ways to adapt and evolve without losing sight of your foundation. Here's a fun analogy. Think of your core as the main plot of a movie. No matter how many twists, turns, or action sequences you add, the story stays true to its central theme. That's what makes it memorable and lasting. To recap, Good to Great teaches us that greatness isn't about one big leap. It's about disciplined people, disciplined thought, and disciplined action. From level 5 leadership to the flywheel effect, these ideas can transform your life and work. If you're ready to stop settling for good and start building something truly great, hit subscribe and like this video. Don't forget to share in the comments what inspired you most today. Here's my final thought. Greatness isn't reserved for the chosen few. It's within reach for anyone willing to put in the work. Let's go make it happen.